Hi everybody, my name is Brandon Hull and welcome to our workshop on how to conduct better, faster, and complete better, faster reporting from construction job sites, sponsored by Fluix. Again, I'm your host, Brandon Hull. I'm the head of client development with Fluix, and I love working with construction customers. I love it because I know you guys have processes that you're constantly working with that could always be faster and more efficient so everybody can focus more on getting meaningful work done on site. So Fluix, if you're not familiar, is a cloud-based and mobile platform that makes automation and digitization of repeatable tasks extremely fast and easy for data capture, for authenticity of documents, for e-signatures, for approvals. There are so many different ways that companies use us in construction, in energy, and oil and gas, and companies small and large. And we encourage you to check us out at fluix.io following this workshop. I've also got a special bonus for you if you stick to the end of the workshop, a few helpful forms and resources that you'll be happy to take away from this hands-on workshop today. The purpose of this workshop is to introduce you to an easier way to quickly collaborate from project field leaders and team leaders to those who work in the office in order to report on the status of projects. We all know that construction projects need to be on time, on schedule, under budget. And Fluix is a big part of that for a lot of construction companies in the US and in Europe. And so in this workshop, we want to introduce those of you who are new to Fluix, have just heard about Fluix, have a good insight into how those construction companies are using Fluix in the real world in order to speed up how they capture data and stay in the loop in the office with what's going on at the projects and in the field. I personally have spoken to over 100 different construction companies just over the last few months, and there are two recurring themes that come from these conversations. The first is that project management apps are incredible, and they are excellent for project management, for every task with its deadline that needs to be managed, for all of the people that are involved in the project, and making sure everyone is up to speed on what's going on with different elements of the project. They're great for true project management, and Fluix is not here to replace them. But what I've also heard over the last several months, and a lot of my team has heard as well, is that these project management apps are not the most efficient. They're comprehensive, but they're not the most efficient for quick data capture, for quick photo capture, for just getting up to speed on what happened today in the field. That daily reporting is essential in construction projects to keep everybody informed and in the loop, and do it in a way where we're not all living in our software. So what if you could keep your project management tool of choice, whether that's Procore, CMIC, Viewpoint, or any other app, but introduce a field-friendly, lightweight, fast job tool just for this aspect of working on your projects, just for collaborating on documents, just for capturing quick data, quick photos, and sharing that with the team in an easy to deploy way that your field and project team will absolutely love. It'll reduce your need to deal with follow-up requests for minor tasks, people texting you, people emailing you, asking you for status reports, whether you're in the office or in the field. It'll give you instant insight to everyone that needs to be in the loop on what's going on. It'll allow job site workers to spend more time on the project and less time on a device, less time in software. That is the promise of Fluix. And yes, you can route these documents and you can capture this data and move it to your project management tool of choice. We won't be able to show you all of the features of Fluix and how we work for every use case under the sun for construction, but you're going to get a glimpse of that with the highlight on daily reporting in particular with this specific workshop. So today I'll walk you through how Fluix makes daily reporting especially a little bit easier in some cases and a lot of it easier in others. And we're going to start with the field user in mind so you can see how fast and easy it is to capture documents and the data that you need in order to send those documents and data to someone else. We're then going to go behind the scenes and show you how this is configured within Fluix. How do you set things up to route things exactly the way you want? Because if there's something else I've learned with every construction company I've talked to, and there again have been dozens upon dozens, it's that different processes are favored by different construction companies, either because of their clients, the nature of the project, the length of the project, or some other factor. So the ability to work the way you want to route documents in an automated way the way you want to route documents and their data elsewhere, to get notifications on all of these, that's a crucial thing that will make life so much easier for construction companies. So again, we're going to talk about daily reporting at the beginning of this workshop, but we're going to see a glimpse of a few other use cases where Fluix is used in the construction process for companies, large and even the small ones, those who are in home improvement and have projects that last maybe a couple of weeks, and owners or service leaders want to know exactly what's going on with that project without having to drive to the site, without having to call somebody, without having to text somebody and find out what's going on with it. So let's dig in and show just what's going on with daily reporting. And then, like I said, we'll go behind the scenes as well. This is a hands-on workshop. So we'd love for you to ultimately check in with us in the comments. And if you've got questions as well, you can post them there. And at the conclusion of the workshop, you want to reach out to me personally, you can do so at brandon@fluix.io. You can also reach us at sales@fluix.io. And our client development team will help answer any questions about how Fluix is used with construction and home improvement companies as well. So let's dig in just a little bit. Let's talk specifically about how Fluix is used in the field for daily reporting. What you're seeing right here is the Fluix app in the field user's hands on an iPad, my real iPad app here that I'm ready to use for filling in a daily report. What's great about Fluix is the ease of use for any field user who needs to capture data, capture photos, anything like that. We like to make things only 2 taps for them to access the forms that they need and be able to send it on to someone else. So in this case, I've tapped the project folder I'm working on and I've pulled a daily report. Let's say I'm the foreman, I'm a superintendent, I'm somebody at the site as a site manager, and I simply need to provide a fill-in-the-blank sort of form so I can go through the process with my team. So I've got the daily report here. I can start filling in certain project fields. I can fill in the project name. Let's say I'm working on the Memorial Hospital project in Las Vegas. So I'm going to type in Memorial Project. Today's date is the 28th. I'm going to record today's temperature. It's a warm 87 degrees. Were there any delaying events today? Were there any deliveries that were made? Any safety incidents that were made today? I can check those boxes. Yes, there were delaying events. I can add details down here in the delay events section, details section. Any specifics on delivery details right here. If there's a safety incident, that's a little bit more crucial of an issue. It's not just involving an issue with the project, but that's something that the organization needs to know about. So that might have other processes that you want people to follow for that. So there's an indication here to fill out a specific safety incident form to handle that process. You often have to record how many personnel are on site when you're reporting on a daily basis for your projects. This is a starter form. As you can tell, it's a little bit of a generic form, so I don't have all of the fields that you would likely have when you're reporting daily from your projects or that you might want your teams to report on. The great thing about Fluix is I designed this form within our tool. So not only is it a form building tool, it's a form routing tool. It's a document routing and automation tool. So I designed this form to look exactly like this. So instead of having to design a report and design a form where the data is captured, I designed one document that captures the data and formats it perfectly for archiving. In this case, the only fields I have for personnel on site are carpenters, finishers, laborers, and so forth. So I'll enter in the numbers on that. And then you'll notice I have a couple fields where I can add images to that document. Images might be real-time photos that I take as I use my iPad in that very moment, or maybe they're photos I took previously in the day that are already in my photo library on my iPad. You'll notice if I tap the add image here that I can, I've activated my annotation tool, which is another tool that I'll want to show you here in a little bit. But when I tap on my add image field, when I'm in user mode, there we go. I can activate the photo library or the camera. By activating the photo library, any existing photo on my device I can upload immediately, or I can activate the camera and take a photo at that very moment. That is then added to this spot on my device, and it is geo-stamped, it is date and time stamped for authenticity, and it's embedded right in the document itself. I can then use my annotation tools on the right-hand side for drawing on that document, for calling out information about it, and I can even use the commenting feature as well to add a comment right on top of that document. So I can add comments, notes, documents, photos. I can insert just about anything I want onto this document before I submit it to the office. And one thing that you'll notice towards the top is this daily report. I don't even have to have the field user rename the report. They don't have to give it a name. They don't have to save as. They don't have to attach it to an email. They do nothing other than fill in the form, scroll through it through its entirety, and then when it's all said and done, they tap the submit button. If their iPad or iPhone is connected in real time to the internet, either through Wi-Fi or through a cell signal, that document will be transmitted immediately to follow a pre-configured process that you have built in an admin portal behind the scenes. All the user has to do is choose the form, fill in the form, tap submit, and they're done. So what used to take a long time to do in many project management apps, because there are so many distractions and so many different choices to navigate in those apps, as powerful as they are, efficiency is not their strong suit in some cases. Your field team can tap twice, fill in the form, tap once to tap a submit button, and automatically behind the scenes, all of the activity that you want to happen happens. So let's talk about that activity. Where do you want your daily reports to go? Maybe you want a copy of your daily report to go to the project manager. Maybe you want the data from that form to be extracted so it can be pulled into some other source where you're going to just review all of the past daily reports that are submitted by your superintendent. Maybe you want that document to go to SharePoint. Maybe you're going to want it to go into some other folder. Or maybe you want some combination of these activities to happen. Where you configure this is in the Fluix admin portal. This is accessed via the cloud, so you would log in through our website at fluix.io. Once you've logged in as an admin, you can choose to either create or edit a workflow to route documents however you want. You decide who has access to the documents, and you decide what actions are triggered when they tap that submit button. So let's take a look at what that admin portal looks like. What you're looking at right now is me logged in to my account where I just transmitted that document, that daily report document. And by tapping that one submit button, this pre-configured workflow was activated. In this case, my workflow for this specific Memorial Hospital project, the superintendent had access to that form. He or she filled in that form and tapped submit. They pulled the form from a specified folder. So in many cases with our construction companies, that template may reside in something like SharePoint. But we do have construction companies that use our own built-in storage. You can connect your favorite storage account to this in order to have that template available that they can fill in. And once that user in the field tapped submit, 4 concurrent activities all instantly activated once they tap submit. So once again, the field user only has to fill in the form and tap submit. But behind the scenes, we've got a copy going to a specific folder where just the daily reports for just this project are kept. We have the data extracted. So each of the data points in that form field, or each of the form fields, the data that was added to those form fields is extracted and held in a data set, which I'll get to in a minute. Another copy of that document was uploaded to an all submissions folder for that project. And I'll show you why this is valuable in just a minute as well. And then one more copy was sent as an attachment to an email to a predetermined email address. And the subject line of that email that they received was the document name, so they know exactly what the context is. So all of these things happened automatically, which means that you and your people in the field would have instant access to what happened that day at that project, no matter if it's a small project or a massive project involving hundreds, if not thousands of employees and subcontractors on site. Now, for many of our construction customers, they have superintendents or a foreman filling in this form, but they may have occasionally a subcontractor fill in a similar but slightly different form for all of their activities. You may or may not do the same thing with your company. We're going to get into that in just a minute because you can configure workflows to be different for different types of forms that you want submitted. But what's great about this process here is that you know a daily report has to be done every day. Let's say that you're not at the project. Let's say that you are in an office and want to stay in the loop on the project, what's going on. You have a couple great and easy ways that you can do this. On one hand, you can log in as an admin and see the document status for all daily reports that have been submitted. Even daily reports that are only in draft mode on a user's iPad out in the field, If they're connected to the internet, you can even see those documents in draft mode and how they change hands, or how they evolve and how the changes are made to that document. Let's say you want to create a workflow where you want a daily report to not only be uploaded to a folder and not only sent as an FYI to another recipient, but you want to reassign responsibility for that form to fill in a second section of that form, for example, from one person to another. You can configure the workflow that way, and you can also come into the document status and see the full history of that document, how it changed hands, how the versions changed from one person to another, what fields changed, what data changed. You can see the complete status of that step by step with timestamps and date stamps throughout the process. You can go one step further. Had I configured this workflow where it does need to be reassigned from a responsibility standpoint from one person to another, you can even have deadlines associated with those assignments. So let's say I assign the document from me, Brandon, to a person named Steve, and I don't want Steve, let's say you as a person who's got oversight of the project, you don't want Steve to be sitting on that document for more than 24 hours. You want him to take action and get that document routed and uploaded and completed. Well, you can create a deadline associated with this workflow so that it never sits in one person's inbox for more than 24 hours before they start getting an overdue notice. So you can make sure that you keep things on track for your deadlines based on how documents are routed from one person to another. Now, I didn't have this workflow set up that way. I just had it where it's uploaded to another folder and the data is extracted and a copy is sent to someone else. But you can absolutely configure multi-step workflows where a document moves from one person to another to another. This is often popular when you've got processes that require approvals, not just documents that need to be submitted and reviewed later on in a non-urgent manner. So let's go one step further with this workflow. Daily reports are an essential part of keeping a project on track. So obviously, you may have other data points that you want to capture for your projects, not just the ones that you saw on the form that I shared. If that's the case, you can use our built-in form builder to create a form exactly the way you want, capturing exactly the data you want. And you can even go one step further by making sure that the data capture is simplified. Drop-down choices are available. Yes, no's. Options are, multi-options are available. You can configure things and restrict data entry to specific choices to validate that data to prevent rework, to prevent incorrect data being able to be submitted when somebody submits a daily report. I also mentioned the extracting of data. Let's talk about that for a little bit. We assume that documents for many companies are about authenticity. They're about authentication. They're about making sure that a document can be proved or that an inspection process could be proved to have been done on a certain day and time. Having a workflow, having a process where you can authenticate that a process was completed when it needed to be completed is important. So documents are for audits. I strongly believe that. However, data is for decision making, especially real-time decision making. So one of the things that you noticed on this workflow, the settings of this workflow, are that I have data extracted every single time this document is submitted. Let's take a look at that. I've got a lot of form fields on that data set, on that daily report. I may not need to see all those data points every single day if I'm looking at all of the past daily reports that have been submitted. I may only need to see certain data sets that are captured. So let's take a look at that. So I've got the Memorial Hospital project that we're working on, and obviously daily reports from one project can be kept completely separate from another project, or you can choose to drop a copy of all daily projects in one catch-all folder as well. You can do a little bit of both, but let's take a look at how we work with these data sets. So looking at data sets in Fluix, you'll notice that I've had 6 submissions of daily reports following that workflow. So I have 6 daily reports that have been captured so far where all of the data from all of the fields are captured. I can download that data as an Excel file. I can download it as a CSV file. I can export it to Power BI or to Tableau. I could have even configured that workflow when I was working on the settings to route those documents and those data to Procore or CMIC or another project management app. I didn't have that in this case, but you can add one little line as an additional parallel step and move the documents or data over to your project management tool of choice as well. But right now we're just talking about the data sets. So these are the ways that I can handle the data. So I'm going to capture all of the data in one data set, but I may choose that I want to customize and create just a summary of the data that I can look at in aggregate. Let's say every month I want to look at all of the daily report submissions, and rather than pull up the actual pieces of paper and printing them off and looking through them all one at a time and seeing how the project has gone on and looking for any anomalies, any notes, any check marks on certain spots that are important, I just want to look at the data. So I can grab this data and choose the specific fields on that form that I want to capture every time it's submitted, and just those forms. So this form is the form that I showed you on my iPad just a moment ago. The fields in yellow are highlighted also here on the right-hand side. So in a summary form, I only capture these forms on a regular basis, and I can choose to move that data to a data set that I can also export to another destination, or I can download it as an Excel file and do whatever I'd like, further analysis with it, that sort of thing. So I've got a custom data set just for basic data that I can review at any given time. And I can go one step further with my data sets. Because I'm capturing the data, Fluix realizes that you may need to have a red alert status, so to speak, anytime the data you capture for forms doesn't conform to what your expectations were. For example, let's say that you are reporting on the day's events and you had a safety incident that day. Well, that's a little bit more of a concern to more people than just the project manager. There's other people in the organization who might need to be alerted about such a thing. So with a data set, you can set up notification rules where certain criteria are handled or certain people are alerted in an urgent way when certain criteria are met. So for example, I could choose to have any time the box is checked that there was an injury or something along those lines, or any time a daily report had some other issue. If I want to get the details on a delay of some kind, I can choose to have the field selected here and the criteria selected over here, more, less, or equal to, add a custom message here, for example, safety incident reported today, and choose a recipient here for who would get the notification that there's been a safety incident. If I put those parameters in place, it takes me 30 seconds to do that, choose save and apply. Now, anytime that form gets submitted where these criteria are met, this person will be notified with a copy of the form that was submitted. So I'm going to break away from daily workflows for just a minute to show you a real world example of this. Oftentimes with our construction customers, they'll do a lot of safety work with their reporting on their construction job sites. And obviously we're talking a high hazard industry with construction. So people need to be up to speed immediately if there is some kind of safety incident where an employee has been injured or heaven forbid has been hospitalized or worse. So I've got a workflow associated with a safety incident reporting form where the data set is captured and a notification rule is set up that I want to show you. This is not tied to my daily report. This is tied to the safety incident report form, first of all. What this alert is telling you here that you're looking at is that this user, this recipient, will receive a copy of this report and an urgent email anytime this field on the safety incident report is highlighted with a yes. So I have a field that's labeled hospitalization, and if that field has been selected, then the answer is yes on that field. There's a drop-down choice of no, yes, or yes with a fatality. Then that person is notified with a message that says hospitalization required with a recent safety incident, see attached, and they'll get a copy of the full document. If it's worse, regrettably, and the hospitalization field is selected as yes, fatality, obviously, you're going to have other processes in place. There's going to be phone calls made and other things that need to move into action. But at the very least, this also provides an email notification to somebody who might be out of the office, off that day on PTO, or traveling and needs to have immediate knowledge that something has occurred. So you can send them, again, a copy of the contract and a message that says urgent fatality from recent safety incident, see attached. So not only will they have immediate access to everything that you've reported on the safety incident, now they have some context and they can call the person that submitted the document immediately with a little bit more detail than just, hey, we had a bad injury occur at the job site. So you can see how powerful these notification rules are and this data capture piece is of your daily reporting. Many large construction customers that we talk to, the field team still has either workarounds besides their project management tool or has paper-based processes in place for their daily reporting. while that seems efficient because somebody can fill in a piece of paper and just drop that piece of paper on a superintendent's desk or put it in a 3-ring binder in the job site trailer, sounds great. The reality is that oftentimes is data you can't take immediate action on. That is data and that is information that somebody in the office is not going to be in the loop on without more work being required, like a phone call, like an email or something along those lines, or like navigating through a project management tool in order to find just that specific piece. So let's go back to the iPad app for just a minute and let's talk about this daily reporting in context of other activities that might happen. So we're going to go back to my iPad. You saw my daily report that I opened up a moment ago, but let's go back to the main screen of Fluix. What you're seeing here in the main screen of Fluix is everything is 2-tap accessible. So as a person in the field, my number one job is to get the project work done and get the reporting done work efficiently. So I'm working on one specific project, the Memorial Hospital project in Las Vegas. So you'll notice that a lot of these forms that I have immediate access to with just a couple of taps are forms or documents specifically related to that project. But there may be other documents or data or reporting that needs to be done periodically for all employees that aren't just related to a specific project. So that's why you'll see other things in here like an asset inventory, heavy equipment inspection, aka a vehicle inspection, and the safety incident reporting that I mentioned before, a job hazard analysis for safety, all of those types of things. But most of the and those, of course, we want to know the project where some of these things are relevant, but those will happen across all locations. Many times, the things that you most want to do faster and better as far as reporting goes with construction companies are the types of reports that you're seeing on the screen right now. A subcontractor daily report, a superintendent report, just sending off a quick photo with maybe a little bit of commentary tied to that photo and sharing it with people. We do have workflows that we can help you configure for sending RFI requests to subcontractors, as well as receiving those RFI submissions from your contractors. You can see both of those listed here. And then toolbox talks. I'd call it number 2 or number 3 as far as most oft used workflows and use cases for Fluix with construction companies is the ability to create or to conduct a toolbox talk on site and report that it was done. So this is obviously a Fluix branded version of a toolbox talk tied to slips, trips, and falls that a site supervisor may fill in, a site manager, superintendent, somebody like that. And as with the other form, you'll just tap on each of the forms to fill those form fields in. There are instructions on this form as well. You can have it set up where this form can link to another form or another document that you need to use as a reference material that is also stored in your Fluix account, just with a button or a link that can be added here. I've got checkboxes here. I would fill this form in. I can sign off on it officially. You'll notice it allows me to sign in my signature there. We'll just do a da-da-da-doom. And now my signature is captured. So when I'm done filling in this form, I will simply tap the submit button. And Fluix can work with you to add a naming convention to every document so that just like you saw with the daily report, whenever this document has been submitted, it is automatically named. The user doesn't have to choose a name that is that they think makes sense. You can have it consistently named every single time so that when you're having to comb through dozens or hundreds of certain types of documents, you can use our smart search feature to find exactly the document you're looking for when you're logged in at the office. You're logged in through our browser admin portal. So normally I would fill in a form like this. Again, I'm on the Memorial Hospital project in Vegas, so we're just going to say Memorial Hospital here. The supervisor is me, and I've got a little shortcut for my name there, conducted on. I choose the date of today's date, and we'll just say for now, that's all I'm going to fill in for now. I could, of course, go through the rest of this form and fill it in, but now I'm going to tap submit. I get a little visual feedback that the document is being submitted right now. If my iPad or iPhone was offline right now, because not every job site is in a place where you've got a cell signal and not every iPad has Wi-Fi access or cell service, then you are clearly indicated that your device is offline. But anybody in the field who uses Fluix on an iOS device, whose device has synced once to retrieve these templates, can use Fluix fully offline. You don't have to be online to do anything in Fluix other than the transmission process. So in my case, if I were offline and I tapped that submit button, it would just be queued in an outgoing folder, and Fluix syncs every 3 minutes So the next time this device is on a Wi-Fi or connected to a hotspot with my cell phone or something like that, you can rest assured that that document will get pushed automatically to the next step in the process. And again, my next step in the process for this Toolbox Talks slips and trips document may be different from my daily report. It may also be slightly different from my daily subcontractor report. So let's say I'm a subcontractor on the job site and I'm not a superintendent. I wouldn't have access to the documents that are only relevant to superintendents. I'd only have documents to the ones or access to the documents that are relevant to me as a subcontractor. And maybe that's a form like this that is very similar to the daily report you saw before, but in this case, it's just for subcontractors. So even though I do ask the user to type in the project they're on, the truth is we've already configured Fluix to be tied to a specific project. So the document is named automatically. It's not dependent upon somebody entering in the exact right name here. We do have some customers who get a little bit more creative though. They choose to have a barcode on site on some of their job site locations, either at the trailer or elsewhere. Well, Fluix allows any of these text fields to be able to be filled in automatically simply by scanning the barcode that you've got, maybe attached as a sticker or something like that. If you look right below the word company, where that field is on my document, there's a mapping icon, and to the left there's a barcode icon. So you can choose those for those types of relevant fields on your document. Scan the barcode and the text will be translated into the field. Or if you're filling in an address, you can tap the Google Map, the map icon, and the address or the GPS coordinates can be added to that field. So this document is relatively similar compared to the daily report that the superintendent might be filled in. But notice I don't need to have this subcontractor report on all of the employees and in all of the different subs. They're just reporting on the number of personnel that they had on site on that day. So I'm going to choose 5 here. I can add a few more details about either safety incidents and so forth. I can tap that submit or the date field. And then I can add photos, like I said before, photo library or camera photos. I can use the annotation tools on the side to annotate those documents, to add details to them. But let's pause for just a minute here. What if you've already designed a daily report form and you have it as a paper-based process currently, and that paper-based process clearly is not going to allow somebody to be able to embed a photo in real time into your document. So you have to have another app for that, or you've got to have them text you the photos that you do something with. So let's say that you have a design that's like this, similar to this, but doesn't have photo fields like this. What could you do? Or let's say that these 2 image fields that I have here are not enough. What can you do in that case? Well, I've got a 1-page document that's a fill-in-the-blank form. But if you look in the top left corner, I've got the word back and a series of 4 tiles. What these tiles do when you tap them is it gives you a bird's eye view of the document, whether it's 1 page or 20 pages. And then if you look at the right-hand corner, top right corner, you'll see I have an edit sign and a plus sign. Well, with the plus sign, I can allow that user to add a blank page to the end. And now we have a 2-page document, one with a form and one with a blank page. If we let them then navigate to the blank page, they can use the annotation tools to do a number of things. They can draw sketches, they can add context, they can add details, comments, all kinds of things that you might like, or they can use the stamps feature that you might be familiar with other apps and add any kind of annotations, any type of photos that they might like, or images that are stored on their device. So in this case, this would be photos that they've already taken from the photo library. So let's say I've got a repair that's being done. I would tap on the photo from my photo library. I can place it exactly where I want on that document. And as opposed to these fields that are pre-configured in a certain shape, I now can place a photo and resize it however I like. So I can grab a corner, resize it, make it larger. I can use the text tools on the right side with the annotation tool to add comments, to again annotate this document, to add a little bit more context to it. And like I said, I can move it around, I can rotate it, I can add another image right next to it. Let's do that. So I'm going to choose the stamp tool, and now I want to highlight something else that happened at the job site, and I'm going to show this picture. So now I'm going to put this picture right next to it, but I want it to be just a little bit bigger. And I'll add my notes accordingly. So now when I tap this daily report, I not only have all of this data and these form fields completed, but I've got additional photos that have been attached. So we'll now submit that. And as a subcontractor, I have a different workflow, potentially, that is followed when a subcontractor submits a report. Not only do I have a different workflow that's followed, I have a different naming convention so that you, when you're sitting back in your office during the day, or your project manager, can see the different documents that have been submitted. Oh, here's a daily report from a superintendent, and here's a daily report from a sub. They can see that very easily. As a quick note, let me go over a couple of these other real quickly use cases that you might experience with use cases, or sorry, with your processes at your construction company. So what you're seeing here is sort of a Fluix branded vehicle inspection report. It is not comprehensive. It's designed just as a starter document, just so you can see some of the functionality here. You can allow a person to choose from drop downs, like this is a car, a truck, or a van, or something like that. Obviously, we had the date field that you saw before. They can enter basic text fields like the make, model, license number, give an explanation of the overall description. And then we've got the simple yes, no fields going down through a checklist. Brakes in good condition? Yes, no, not applicable. You can add a third column in there. I designed this form with our built-in form designer. That means that you could build something very similar or work with us to build something very similar, add your logo to the top right corner instead of ours, all of these types of things, add photo fields or not, make it multi-page however you want, include signature fields, all of those types of things. But in any case, you would allow a person to go through this process. It doesn't have to be just a daily report, but maybe they have something like this that they need to report on a regular basis. You can allow your users to fill in any kind of form. And for this vehicle inspection, let's say the make here is a Ford. It's an F-150. Boom, and the license number is TGH. I'm going to be quick here. THH, we'll say. 667. There we go. All right, so I'm now submitting that document. I didn't check any yeses or nos now, just in the interest of time, but now that vehicle inspection form has been submitted. I didn't have to choose save as a user. Again, none of those other silly basic details that sometimes can be fraught with error. Somebody attaches it to the wrong person's email and sends it to the wrong recipient. All of those types of things are eliminated entirely. And because I have check fields, I can always make some of them required so I can ensure that my field team is giving me exactly the data I need at a minimum and some of the optional data as well. But the vehicle inspection workflow may have a different process. It uploads to a different folder, a different person gets notified. It has its own notification rules if there's a big problem with something that's submitted there. Similarly, I have a somewhat similar looking but slightly different heavy equipment inspection form that might be used for cranes, forklifts, other types of equipment that's on site. I can submit that and it has its own workflow. Now, you might have just noticed there quickly that the document was saved to drafts a moment ago. One of the things that we offer as, again, a help in the workflow automation process is when your user is starting to edit a template, obviously the template remains untouched. We're creating a new copy for them automatically just by virtue of them tapping on the template. They may begin to choose something on that template and get sidetracked with an urgent issue. So we assume that they may very well want to come back to that document and not start over from scratch. So the moment a document begins to get edited at all, if they happen to back out of that document, it's available to them in their draft section. So here's that document that I just started here. You can see I now can begin to finish choosing it. If I had filled out 5 or 6 of these fields and finished half the checklist, all of those things that I filled in previously will still be retained. So now I can officially fill in that we're doing a forklift. And again, this is the date. I can give it the project name and so forth, go through and check all of these. Okay, this needs repair, this is not applicable, so on and so forth. And even though I haven't filled in all the forms for now, I'm just going to tap submit just so you can see that I can now route that document as well. Templates are a beautiful way, templated forms are a beautiful way to use Fluix for repetitive processes that happen every day or every week, especially those that happen at scale that you need to make sure don't have to be redone, capture the data that you want, and the documents and data are routed exactly the way you want in your company, not the way a prescribed process follows in project management tools. Workflow automation is at the heart of Fluix, and it is the differentiator for us as far as how we handle documents versus so many other solutions out there. And because you're building, if you use our built-in form builder, because you're using our form builder, you can design the report to be exactly the way you want. And I'll give you an example of why this matters. We do have some customers in the construction field who, when their personnel in the field are capturing photos and capturing basic pieces of data, oftentimes they have to submit those photos or that data to an office person who will then work with that document or build a document, I should say, using their photos, using their data capture, and the office-based person has to manually build a report for each individual project client. Well, with Fluix, if you design with our form builder, you can design a professional looking report for that end using client or that end using recipient, even if it's an internal person, that embeds the data somebody captures. So one of the disadvantages of a lot of the mobile form tools out there is that you then have to design what you want the document to look like after the data is captured. With Fluix, they're one and the same. The report that you build and the form that you build are the same document. So you can build it to look exactly the way you want, and you're not limited to just working with documents. Again, you can capture the data and keep that in a data set separately, or move it to a third-party app, or download it as an Excel file, however you like. That's one of the great advantages of Fluix. So we've talked about daily reports. What if you just want to send a one-off photo on a project? You don't need all of the daily report, but something unique has happened at the job site. You want to send a one-off photo. Well, I created a very simple photo template that just allows somebody to provide a little bit of context. Hey, I'm at this project. This is the date I took the photo. This is the subject or the context of the photo. It was taken by this person. Here's an explanation of the photo. And then again, there's the image field to activate the photo library or the camera. Again, going back to what I just mentioned, not only can you send the photo, but you can send it in a nice contextual way with all of the relevant details. It's not just a random photo uploaded to a project folder like some other tools do. It is actually the document itself with the photo and all of the context provided by the person who filled in the form. I built this form also with our built-in form builder, so you could take this as a template, or you could build one from scratch to be designed exactly the way you want to allow your team to submit photos. Now, when somebody submits a photo from the field, you may want a couple of different things to happen. You may want all of those to go to one location so you can just scroll through and look through all the photos, or you may want it to go into an all submissions folder as well. The way I've built Fluix in my admin portal is so that every document tied to the Memorial Hospital project is going to drop into a folder called all submissions. So here's my project folder that I use in Fluix. Again, you can do the same thing in SharePoint. And within this folder, I have all my templates in different folders for different types of tasks. And I have all my submissions broken into the type of submission it was. Here's a daily report submission, photo submissions, RFI submissions, contractor daily report submissions, toolbox talks, and so forth. These other fields are where the templates are stored. But I have all of my workflows configured for this project to also send every copy into this folder. So if you were curious what that looks like, here's all of the submissions that have happened so far with that project since I edited those workflows to drop them all in here. All my daily reports, all my photos, RFI submissions, they're all in one place. All in one place. Now, if you were a user, if you were not an admin of your Fluix account, let's say a project manager does not have admin privileges to everything. Maybe they're logged in specifically just as a user within your account. I'm switching over to the user mode over here. You may want to give them access to all of those documents in a different way. So for example, I've got Memorial Hospital, all submissions right here, and every document that's been submitted so far, they can either click on it to open it, or they can search for specific documents just based on certain criteria. You can see that I've got a document name I can search by here. You can give them permissions to go to a specific workflow and search for documents there. You can give them higher level permissions where they can see on the dashboard all of the documents that have been submitted for just their project. They can use our smart search feature here to use one or more filters to find exactly the document that they're looking for, because as you can see here, a lot of documents have been submitted. So because we have an automatic naming submission convention, you can choose to just look for the documents that have photo in the name. And now, boom, there's the two documents that meet that. Well, what about just the documents that have a photo in the name and the status of them is one of these, because I had to send those photos for a signature for somebody to sign off on. I can choose that here. Or what if one of those, the conditions of one of those is, what if one of the, let me click off of that. What if the status is that it's in somebody's inbox? Let's say you have a process where any photo that's submitted has to be reviewed by a project manager before it's uploaded to the all submissions folder for that project. You can choose to show just those people that it's in the my inbox status, and you can even choose the user that it's in the inbox of by assignee. So you have a lot of options to configure. All of these things that I'm showing now are configuration options that you can choose one time as you're setting up your project structure, and your users never have to worry about any of this stuff that happens behind the scenes. They just know 2 taps, grab the document you need, 1 tap, submit after they filled it in. That's all they have to do. And if you follow some of our best practices for folder structure and project structure, one last piece of the puzzle that I'll show you here that's fun and exciting for how you build your workflows and your project structure for that matter. Let's say this is my project structure and I want every project we launch with our construction company to have this same sort of structure where daily reports and daily sub reports are held separately and they have a specific workflow and the submissions folders are set up the same way. You can duplicate that process right here. So I can go right here, I can copy that entire folder structure and give it a new name for the next project that our company is working on. And all of the templates, everything are copied right over. And then I can simply go into my workflows and any of my Memorial Hospital workflows, I can duplicate those as well. So setting up and creating a whole new construction project is a matter of seconds. You can literally duplicate all of the typical folder structure with all of the templates. You can duplicate all of the workflows with just a few clicks as well. Let's say we're moving on from the Memorial Hospital project in Las Vegas, and now I've got a new project that's starting up in the military base in Henderson, Nevada, in the US, and I want to get that project started. All I would need to do is click a few times to duplicate these folder structures, click once to duplicate this folder structure here, the workflows, and click once to duplicate the folder structure here, and I am ready to launch the process. I am ready to launch the process. Now, one last piece of the puzzle here that I'll mention, and it might be something that's been on your mind during the course of this workshop, is how do people get access to certain documents? How do I make sure that only the right people have access to these documents? Only certain other people can review the documents? How do I have strict control from a security standpoint over a lot of these either design plans or the forms and templates and so forth? That is handled through user management and group management, and then how you build your workflows. So users are where you add licensed users of your of Fluix within your company account. We work with customers at an organizational level where you can't have a personal license of Fluix. So all of these individuals would have access to Fluix on a personal license within your account. You can place those individuals into groups that you decide what the groups are. So in my case, I've built groups that are based on all foremen within my company, all project managers. So that's one group. And I put a star next to them just so they're alphabetically at the top of the list. And then the project manager for the Memorial Hospital project is in not just the project management group overall for our company, but also is assigned as in the group of Memorial Hospital project managers. So if you have more than one person that is in a specific role within a project, obviously you can group those people together by group. So a big example of this would be subcontractors. You may only have one superintendent or 1 or 2 foremen or something like that, and one project manager for a project, but you're probably going to have multiple subcontractors on that project. So your subcontractors group may have these, for the Memorial Hospital project, may have these 5 subcontractors. But overall for your company, you may have, say, 20 contractors that you allow to have a license within your Fluix account so that they work with you seamlessly. So the 5 subcontractors that are tied to this project are in this group, but the 20 subcontractors that I mentioned are in this group for subcontractors. And then you build your workflows, including the groups of employees that you want to participate in that workflow. There's a whole workshop that we could do dedicated just to how you build those workshops and how you can route those documents and how you can push those documents to your project management tool of choice. We'll save that for another day. Today, we really just wanted to talk about how to make the daily reporting process for construction companies better and faster and more accurate. So hopefully, in your opinion, we've fulfilled that objective as well. I do have some bonus free resources for you as well. One of the things that I showed as we went through this process are templates that are specific to the construction industry. We're not just a construction industry platform. We're a horizontal platform that works across a lot of different industries. So what we usually do with our customers is either take their existing forms that they've built, or we help them design their forms, or we teach them how to use our built-in custom form builder right here, where you can build a web form or a PDF form if you want to download it as a PDF form from scratch, edit a form, or edit one of our current documents, or edit one of our existing templates. Each of the forms that I showed you in this workshop, I designed by creating a form from scratch with our form designer using these tools right here, including adding our own logo. We're going to give you access to those templates because if you start a trial account with Fluix, you'll be able to upload those templates into your trial account right within this type of interface and make edits the way you would like and build a form exactly the way you want to capture the data that you would like. It's very simple and easy to use. You don't have to be techie. You don't have to be IT savvy or anything like that. It's a simple tool to be able to use. And once you're done building it, you can save it and download it. You can upload it to your Fluix storage into a specific folder as you're just testing the tool out. You can obviously download it and then upload it to your SharePoint folder, all of that sort of thing. And when you're done, you would just simply choose discard and come back and start configuring your account the way you would like. One of the great advantages of working with Fluix versus many other software companies, especially those that are form-oriented or inspection-oriented or workflow-oriented, a lot of companies will provide you with academies where you can build things yourself, learning through their automated videos and their solutions. We have a great YouTube channel that provides a lot of how-to tips, and we have a wonderful help resource section as well that shows you how to use Fluix. But one of the best advantages in working with Fluix is we're a hands-on software company. Our support is second to none. We have clients that have thousands of users spread across the most remote locations you can imagine, offshore wind farms, construction sites in the middle of Australia, and they need to know that they've got teams of people on our side that can answer their questions, configure things exactly the way they want, configure processes. So we help you during your trial account process to build and configure your trial account exactly the way you want. You're not left on your own, scratching your head, combing through our help files, even though they're great, going through our YouTube channel, even though it's wonderful, to figure out how to use Fluix for your purpose. We build the processes following your processes. So we build your workflows within Fluix to follow exactly the system that you want. You'll just work hand in hand with a member of my team on the client development team in order to do that. It's a great way to get started with Fluix and to test whether it's a good solution for your team. If you've got iPads and iPhones that you've already issued to the team, all the better. If they're Windows-based devices or Android devices, you can still use Fluix. You'd largely have to use us in the browser or in the cloud on those devices, so you do lose that offline access. Our iPad app is outstanding, the iPhone one as well. And if you're tuning in to this workshop prior to late May, you have access to all of the features with your trial account that I've shown today in this workshop. After the end of May, we have a major platform enhancement coming that you're going to want to see that really dramatically helps with you building processes that are task-oriented processes and do include forms or reviews of those forms as well. So you can build in a visual manner a task-based series of stream of activities that you want to manage with your team, not just a document-centric series of tasks that you want to follow with your team. Really excited to share that with you. The time will come here in about a month where we'll do that. But for now, we can configure your account for you. And as you work with us, as you move from a trial account to a production paid account with us, you'll work with a customer success team lead who will help you in an ongoing way to get the most value with whatever additional processes you would want to add. But as a bonus for joining this call and this workshop today, thank you for participating, first of all. As a bonus, we want to give you access to a lot of these documents. So simply by pre-registering for this workshop, even if you didn't have a chance to attend it, you're going to get an email from us with access to each of these sample templates that you can then use in your trial account. Our typical trial account is a 14-day trial account. We're going to give you an extra week with that for having watched this workshop. We'll give you 21 days for that. If you just reach out to us at sales@fluix.io, visit us at, fluix.io/industry-construction, and that will give you a chance to be able to see a little bit more about how we work with construction companies. You visit the website on the screen right now, and that'll give you a feel for other ways that we work with construction companies. But reach out to us, start your trial account, schedule an activation call with us so you can learn a little bit more about Fluix, and reach out to us at sales@fluix.io, and we will configure the account exactly the way you want for your processes, not just follow the process that I've shared with you today. So Thanks for participating in our workshop, whether you did it in real time or you are watching this as a recording. We know that you've had a tough last 15 months with COVID-19, 2020 through 2021, and we're in your corner. We love working with the construction industry and the home improvement industry. We work with you guys in so many different ways, whether it's a custom company with only 10 or 15 employees total, and that's combined, field team plus the office, or construction companies that have thousands of employees and have exhaustive needs and a lot of processes that need to be digitized or automated or just streamlined if they're already digitized. Fluix is a great lightweight tool to do that, extremely user-friendly in the field, as you probably could tell with just a couple of taps by being able to submit forms or even just have access to design plans, which we'll cover in another workshop. So we'd like to encourage you to give us a try and incorporate us as a new alternative to how you process documents and data from your projects to your project management tool of choice. Thanks for participating, everybody, in the workshop. We're glad that you had a chance to participate, and reach out to us. Get started with the trial account at fluix.io. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.